Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and today we're doing a Should You Back It on Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia from Archon Games. And there's a lot of information to jump into, timestamps down below as usual in case you're new to the channel or any of that stuff. But to begin with, we're going to go a little bit all over the place to touch upon different things that I want you to know before you inevitably click away from the video 4.5 minutes into it instead of the full. I don't actually know how long this video is. But to begin with, there's going to be a 48-hour bonus of getting a free Orko miniature. So if you are in any way on the fence about getting this game, jump on in now while you have that free Orko miniature. Set a timer for 13 days left or whatever it is. Set a timer for 12 days from now, and then you can cancel your pledge if you find it's not a game for you. You may as well get it now because it's free. You can change your mind. You're not actually paying money here, so go ahead and jump in on that if you are in any way interested in the game. Number two, and very importantly, because this is one of those things where I kind of think everyone knows, but not everyone knows clearly. If you go through the comments here, very much not everyone knows. This game is going to be specifically to certain regions of the general, world, I guess. So we're looking over here. If you find the shipping and delivery area, you can see these are going to be the areas the game can ship to. Not because Archon decided that they don't want money. We all want money, but rather because due to licensing issues, these are the only regions you can actually get this game, getting the Masters of the Universe game from them at all. So if you want this game, you have to be in one of these regions, or alternatively, you can use a parcel forwarding system. You can use something like Forward to Me or a number of other parcel forwarding systems, although be very careful what you do there because you want to avoid being hit with like customs and freight like 2 or 3 times. Plus, speaking frankly, it's going to cost you like $100 to ship internationally this package. Another option if you want this game is going to be trying to find someone to switch pledges with. What do I mean by that? If you don't already know, come on, Cool Mini or Not is going to have their own completely different Master of the Universe game. Meaning it's going to be another Master of the Universe game, but it's not going to be the same game that this one is. It's going to be a different game in the Master of the Universe, universe. And so that one is going to be region locked to the US, to Canada, to all those other regions. And so if you are somebody that wants both of these games, a good thing that you'll want to look into is finding someone to buddy up with and then basically trading pledges. Figure out a way where you'll each back for each other, you'll pay each other back for whatever it is, and then you'll ship parcels to each other. Find someone to buddy up with. That is a good way to go ahead and, get both of these games. Again, keep in mind, it's not going to be cheap. At the end of the day, in addition to all the pledge costs and everything else you're going to be getting here, you're going to be paying $100 to $150 in international shipping costs, even if you buddy up with somebody. So just factor that in. Nothing here is cheap if you want all of these games. But that means if you are not engaging in a parcel forwarding service, if you are not engaging in, trading with somebody else, and if you're not in one of the regions where this game ships to, by all means continue watching this video, but understand that you won't be getting this game. It's going to be one of those 3 things, I think, unless, I guess, patience and trading or some. There's other things maybe down the road, but those are your options for now. So a lot of that out of the way, but then from there, let's go ahead and jump into the game, the pledge levels, the should you back it, all these various things. Additionally, it's worth noting if you look at Update 3, the most recent update they had before the campaign launched, they didn't actually have any updates since the campaign started, because it's on GameFound, by the way. And I may have said Kickstarter by now. If I did, forgive me. This is GameFound. But they already have the full rulebook, and this is a quality, well-done rulebook off the bat. This is like this looks like a finished rulebook for all intents and purposes. If you want to go through the game and get a feel for how it plays, all those aspects, feel free to jump in over there. Update 3 will have that for all those people who always clamor for a rulebook. Master of the Universe Fields of Eternia is going to be a game where you're going to be wandering around the world of Eternia. You're going to be marshaling your forces. You're going to have different factions, each with different heroes. You're going to have 6 potential heroes per faction, choosing 3 in any individual game. It's going to be a game that accommodates 1 to 6 players. I don't know where the sweet spot would be because I haven't played this game, sadly, so I imagine you're probably looking at maybe a 4-player game being more ideal than a 6, although, again, take the player count, whatever it is, 1 to 6 player game, variable heroes on the board, managing your factions, attacking other players, accomplishing quests, trying to go to different regions, gather Eternia, spend it on abilities, whole bunch of different things, playing your spells, all these different things you can do in the game in this general area control-ish / questing / adventure game. You're going to be going through all of that, and that's going to be the base game alone. There's going to be a variety of other things as well in terms of the expansion content you can get. This is where I'm going to try to scroll around finding different things, and we'll come back to, let's go ahead, let's see what we want to jump into first over here. So let's go ahead and go into general overview of the page. They have the why back now over here, which is going to give you the 3 reasons why to back. We'll come back to that in the should you back it. But to begin with, they have exclusive content for this game. So this game is going to have the stretch goals, the expansions. They will not be available in regular stores. They're going to be on gamefound and or conventions or things like that. There's going to be a discount on the main pledge as well, so it's going to be 30% more expensive than on GameFound. And then, of course, you'll be getting your game, well, I shouldn't say of course, but you'll be getting your game before others, before retail or anything like that. Past that, as far as the pledge levels for this game, as far as the pledge levels is going to be the collector's pledge, which is going to be €179. That's going to be giving you the base game and both expansions and, of course, all unlocked stretch goals. You're going to have the basic pledge for €99, which is going to give you, well, the base game and all unlocked stretch goals. And then the collector's pledge in the United Kingdom only, which is going to be €149, and that's going to be the base game, both expansions, and all stretch goals. If you're looking at those two options and questioning why there's a €30 discount for United Kingdom, that's just unfair. United Kingdom is getting a huge discount. Well, that's because if you are buying it for the United Kingdom, you're going to be responsible for your own VAT costs. So that's going to be something you have to factor in. Yes, you're getting a €30 discount, but you're paying VAT yourself, versus the other pledge levels, VAT is included there. So that's going to be the difference there before anyone, well, complains about that. Past that, the game, the campaign so far does not seem to heavily be engaging in stretch goals. As of right now, it's day 1, we're €500 in, and if we hit €800, we're going to get a Castle Grayskull dice tower that will be unlocked. Are there more stretch goals past 800k? I don't know, but 800k for your first stretch goal when you have a 50,000 euro funding goal, that's a big gap. So I have no idea if there are other stretch goals planned. What I do know is there are daily reveals. For each of the day of the campaigns, there are going to be heroes. So basically you have the base game heroes, you have both expansions, you have all the daily reveals, and then we may or may not have additional things. I don't think so. They seem to have gone, if you look through the comments, they have a lot of things that will not be there. So those looking for like a giant She-Ra expansion, that won't be there. So going through day 1, we have man-E faces, the human robot monster. Day 2, 3, 4, we see all those silhouettes, which means if you know the Master of the Universe, then you'll know many of these characters. Speaking for myself, I mean, I recently started watching the Netflix show, but past that, I don't know the universe nearly well enough to guess at these. If I wanted to do my legwork and my homework, I'm sure I could figure it out, but that's not what I'm doing at the moment. But anyways, that's going to be all the daily reveals. And then an interesting thing that they do have is for €45, you can get an additional copy of all stretch goals in the campaign. So if this is something you want to get over here, if you want additional copies of the stretch goals, you can do that. Which I guess may well, I don't know why are they doing that? I don't know why they're doing that. But I guess if you want all those, you can go ahead and do that over there. Past that, we have the core game contents over here. Let's go ahead and go through that. So the core game contents, and this is going to be from Archon Studios. Miniatures are all going to come pre-assembled. They are not going to come painted. And that's worth mentioning because Archon in general, they had a history of, well, they have different kinds of things they've done in the past. They originally used to do unicast in their original games. They've moved away from unicast, and their last game, Wolfenstein 3D, had miniatures on sprues, although you could buy the option to get them pre-assembled. In this campaign, it looks like they're doing pre-assembled only, so they're moving more towards traditional miniature board games in which you get your miniatures pre-assembled, with some occasional exceptions like the Shadows of Brimstone series, Kingdom Death Monster, things like that. But they're moving more towards the pre-assembled model over there. These are going to be true scale miniatures, which means they're going to look a bit small if you're comparing. If you look at any of the videos, the content creators who have this game, these miniatures are going to look a drop smaller. It's not that they are smaller, it's that the true scale, which means those limbs, those hands, all those extra things that are usually just a drop thicker in some miniatures are not going to be a drop thicker. So they might appear a drop smaller, but I believe they are standard board game miniatures. The base game is going to come with, well, these 6 heroes for this faction. There are 4 factions, 2 expansions, and 2 in the base game. You're going to have 15 of the Master of the Universe soldiers, and then you're going to have the Skeletor, Merman, Beastman, Evil Lyn, Trapjaw, all of that in, well, Skeletor's faction over there, and then 15 Evil Warriors, and then just tons of cards. You can have cards for the characters, the warriors, the hero cards, you can have vehicles, encounter cards, allies, because there's going to be this aspect of you can encounter different allies and or creatures on the board, and depending on which faction, let's see if we can see over here, you can see over here, different factions will have different icons on them because some of those encounters you'll have can result in you getting that ally for yourself, and others are just going to be clashes. So it depends on who you encounter and which faction you are will have a different outcome for that particular ally. You're going to have encounter card events, the boss cards, equipment. You're going to have the scenario cards. You're going to have the spells, lots and lots of spells to play. The victory cards are going to be like the quests or the extra points you'll be getting that way. The game also has a solo slash co-op mode as well. So if you want to play this game as a cooperative game, you absolutely have that as well. You have 24 battle cards, the combat grid. The combat grid is going to be an aspect of when your heroes are clashing, you're going to have a different form of combat as you try to play different tokens down to these various areas. A little more intricate combat system depending on what you're doing. So there are different forms of combat in this game. There's going to be 90 combat cards. It's going to be the rule book, and then just tokens, dice, left, right, and center, all of that stuff, and of course the game board with the art and all of that. That's going to be the base game of Fields of Eternia, what you have over here. From there, there's a little gameplay section we can go through, play with friends, play with solo, strategy, all that stuff over there. You can watch anything from King of Average, or there are other content creators as well who dived a bit more into how the game actually plays. You can have lots of exploration, encounters, story cards, all that stuff, interact with Eternians, prepare for epic clashes. There's going to be like the boss battle, so to speak. You're going to have Reach for Glory with the victory cards, all of that stuff over there. And then these are painted pictures, but you're not getting yours painted. I mean, you might get yours painted, but you're not getting yours painted. That makes sense depending on how you understand that. From there, oh, we have the King of Average review just popped up over here. This just went up today. I know that. We have On Table's content is excellent. She had an amazing unboxing. We have a bunch of other content creators. I haven't watched every single one because, well, first of all, language. Some of them have not been in, well, English. We have, what's it called? We have Learn to Play, had an unboxing. We have Master of the Universe Fields of Eternia board game. This one was great by Crabok. Crabok's video was excellent. Again, I haven't gone through everything, but a lot of excellent content on the game. Over next up, we have the Rise of the Snake Men expansion. This is going to introduce a new faction for the game. So you're going to get a new faction from the Rise of the Snake Men expansion. Plus, it's going to introduce new cards, new things like that. It's going to introduce the trap mechanics. You're going to have that as well. That's going to be what you get over there. Scenario cards, combats, more spells, more missions, all these things. Because this game very much is scenario driven in a lot of different aspects. So a lot of different scenarios you can play through in the game. And then, of course, more painted miniatures there. And then lastly, or at least currently lastly, I don't think there's more expansions, we have the Spell of Separation expansion, which is going to be giving you the ability to upgrade your actual units. You can upgrade your units into elites, merchants, or sailors, so you get a little more options over there. And then, of course, a new faction, more scenarios, more spells. We can have Grizzlor, Hordak, Scorpa, Katra, Shadow Weaver, Leech, all of those characters, more Horde soldiers. These are going to complement, that's going to round out the 4 possible factions you have in this game as you play through it. And then the combat grid, Passive Destiny, mission book, all of those things over there. That is going to be everything we have over there from, well, all of this. Now, one more thing that's worth touching upon in case you don't already know, and this is both a letting you know in case you want to jump in on it, and also talking about it from the stance of people are frustrated and upset by this, is going to be the Master of the Universe mounted miniatures. So I'll include a link to this down below, but Archon, as well as the actual game you have on Kickstarter, they are also selling particular mounted miniatures for the game as well. So you can see over here, we have Hordak with Horde Wraith, we have the King Hiss on Tyrantosaurus, we have She-Ra on Swiftwind, and then these 2 are sold out. Skeletor and He-Man are going to be sold out and unavailable, and no, they are not restocking this. They already said, Archon already said, these are a limited print run. Once they sell, they are gone. Your next option is trying to pick them up on eBay for like 4 times the price because they're basically being scalped. A limited supply run of mounted miniatures. So if you want in on any of the other 3, it's going to cost you $23 per miniature. But yeah, you'll be getting these miniatures in case you want them for the game. Now, so this is both letting you know so that if in case you want those 3, you can jump on them while they're still $23 and not when they're $50, $60 on eBay. But also in general, this is one of those things where Archon, in my opinion, made a mistake, but everything's gonna be relative here. But they basically gave exclusive content to those who are, even before you get into the crowdfunding, the gamefound aspect. In general, Kickstarter always has the problem that you very often can have exclusive content that is hard to get. And that means everyone else who's coming later feels to a certain extent like they're missing out because they want to get that other content. That is always a problem. But Archon has effectively made it a 3-tier system. Now we have everyone who finds the game at retail who's going to feel like they're missing out from the gamefound, but then even past that level above that, even everyone back in the game on gamefound feels like they're being penalized because they missed out on these miniatures they may never have even known existed as well. Which is why if you go through the comments, despite the fact that this campaign is doing tremendously well, with 500,000 euro raised in day 1, not even day 1 at this point, but there are a ton of people who are very upset that they missed out on these mounted miniatures, and they feel like they're the people bringing this project to life. and yet they're not actually getting everything that this project has to offer, which again, you don't need them. You absolutely don't need them. It's extra content. It's not necessary. But then again, it's not like an extra random miniature variant. It's He-Man on Battle Cat. That is an iconic part of the Master of the Universe series. It almost reminds me of when Night Games had their Harry Potter miniatures game and then made a Harry Potter an optional buy. It's like it's this weird dichotomy of taking an essential part of the universe and then locking it behind not just a paywall, but it's already sold out. You can't even get that paywall aspect from it. So that's another aspect that I think that they'll probably be dealing with the comments and frustration throughout this 13-day campaign. Not to take away from the success. The game is doing tremendously well so far, but that's worth noting. Past that, before we get into the should you back it, actually let's make it a part of the should you back it. So, should you back it? Should you not? What should we do over here? Does it make sense? All of that stuff. And the short answer is there's a lot of maybes here, because to begin with, I'm playing with a gamefound, a crowdfunding campaign in which it's only available internationally in markets that I'm not familiar with. I talk about this a lot on my videos. For the most part, I tend to take a US-centric approach to the campaigns that I cover. Not from any stance of anything other than the fact that I know the US market better. I know the secondhand market in the US. I know how I can sell the game. I know what shipping prices will cost me. I know the retail availability. So I can make those judgment calls all based around that, which means I'm a whole lot less confident when I talk about this particular campaign. So still, we have a lot of informational stuff already, but the should you back it is going to be delivered with a little less confidence. Before we go into the value, the pledges, all of that, starting with Archon's track record, Archon themselves have an interesting track record. They started off as a different company entirely, and then rebranded into Archon. When they had Archon, they had a bunch of games under their belt, games that had some of the best miniatures you have ever seen in board games, with their unicast and the general miniature production quality. But then with components, with cards, with tokens, with a whole bunch of things that were so subpar, it felt like print and demand, except worse than print. It was worse than print to play quality in terms of their other components, their boards, their cards, everything else there. But from there, their most recent game that is going to have supposedly better quality across the board is going to be Wolfenstein 3D. Wolfenstein 3D, the board game that they brought maybe a year and a half ago, whatever it was, I don't remember exactly, maybe it was a year ago. But that game, on the other hand, they're bringing much better production quality to the table with all of their, well, improved production quality. They're also known, by the way, side point, they're also known for their miniatures lines, where they sell terrain kits and miniatures, and they regularly have Kickstarters around that in terms of just bringing you just other stuff to the table over there. And then Wolfenstein 3D, like I said, is going to be their first game, bringing you a newer board game, their own system, whatever it is, and better production quality. And then Archon's going to be, not Arkham, then Master of the Universe is going to be the next one in that line. So I believe that overall the production quality and general game quality that Archon brings to the table has consistently been elevated with each additional campaign. But at the same time, they do have a little bit of a record in terms of just less than stellar production quality, which is worth mentioning just in case. Past that, as far as the should you back it, should you not, despite my quote-unquote lack of confidence, I think overall the combination of exclusive content, the combination of prices that are going to be higher, the combination of having all of these things only available on GameFound or at conventions is going to make the stretch goals and the expansions very hard to get in terms of just, well, period. If you are backing the basic pledge alone, that 30% discount versus GameFound versus not, once you factor in shipping, once you factor everything else, I can make an argument either way on that core pledge, and I'm far less certain on the basic pledge alone. But if you're getting the all-in, if you're getting the exclusive content, if you're backing the collector's pledge, either one, the United Kingdom or the regular one, if you're getting the stretch goals, the expansions, and the base game, I think it is almost certainly, not almost certainly, I would say it's certainly going to hold its value, combine a beloved IP, an IP that people are hunting down, an IP that people are, well, frustrated that they can't jump in on. This is a game with a limited shipping range. This is not going to worldwide. This has very specific countries it can go to, and we have 3,000 backers, 500,000 euros raised day one. That general concept of demand is only going to expand even further as people find out about these campaigns, as people want in on these campaigns. So I believe that getting the exclusive content for the game that will be only available in limited quantities and limited locations, I believe that is going to be a very safe back for this game. That is basically overall everything as far as this campaign, from anything from the limited exclusivity, the fact that Command's going to have their own separate campaign. I believe that's coming in September. It's going to be a completely separate everything in terms of the gameplay difference, the miniatures difference, the map, the art, everything is going to be completely different there. It's going to be a one versus many game. I think the only thing they really have in common is both games are offering a cooperative mode. Both games have miniatures. I guess they have more in common. Both games have dice. Both games have cards. I guess they have some other things in common. But again, 48 hours in. Jump in on this. Go ahead and back it if you are in any way on the fence, and set a reminder to cancel in case it's a game that's not for you. That is everything. I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this video in some way helpful, and as always, have a good one.